Good days. Boom and boom.
Welcome to the Good Days podcast with Eddie and Charlie. Charlie, you know what? Today's a
very good day.
It's a good day.
Boom.
And boom.
Wow, it's an awesome day today.
It is. You know, one
Get
of
to
the
hang
things
out with you, Doc.
Thanks.
Get to see you, man.
Bro, let's just lavish encouragement upon one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great start.
It's
It's a really great start.
I received some encouragement today, bro.
And what's that encouragement?
I was told that I have a voice for radio.
It's
It's
true.
true. It's
It is
100% true.
It's better than what I heard years ago. That it's like you have a voice for TV.
But a face for... Okay, sorry. I digress.
Or a face for radio.
Charlie will say it.
Boom.
Oh, I love
Whatever.
it. I love it. Whatever is right. Hey, man, it's fall. Don't you love the
Doc,
fall?
Doc,
Leaves turning, starting to fall.
by my house, there's this Amish store.
Yeah.
It has the best everything.
Everything.
Donuts, cider.
Mm.
I actually stopped by and got some candy corn.
Oh, do you like candy corn?
Bro, who doesn't like candy corn?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You're right. I apologize.
Loser.
What was I
many people.
thinking?
So many people.
Candy corn. But I made a mistake, bro.
And what was the mistake?
I decided to get the candy corn that's flavored like s'mores.
No, it's got to be awful.
Well, at first I thought it was good.
But after the 10th one,
Then I threw up in my mouth. It was the worst ever.
yes.
It's not something you can really batch eat.
No, you
No.
cannot batch eat
You can only have a couple s'mores.
some more flavored candy
Exactly
corn.
right.
Then it just gets like, I think I'm going to throw up.
It was sad days. Not
Yes.
good days.
It was sad.
days. And the pumpkins, man, they had these huge pumpkins, but they were so expensive.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever happened to
Yeah,
like a decent
cheap
pumpkin for
pumpkin.
$1.50?
Yeah. And you can buy like 10 of them and have like,
Absolutely.
give to each one of your children.
Exactly.
And then you can have like a pumpkin carving contest.
Why not bring back a pumpkin that's affordable? You know, Doc, I raised pumpkins as a kid.
Did you really?
Straight up pumpkin farmer.
You and Dave Kajawa?
No, this is way before Cujo did this.
Before Cujo?
Oh, way before this.
Okay.
I mean, I was like 7, 8, 9 years old.
Oh, bro.
Literally.
In your backyard?
Well, back behind the barn in the field.
Yeah. So what
Had
you
a
do?
huge, massive pumpkin patch.
You found like some pumpkin seeds and decided, hey, I'm going to plant these?
I found them at a thing called the store.
Did you do this with your parents' consent? Or
Oh,
was
yeah.
this like a
Bro, entrepreneur, bro. I was a pumpkin farmer.
Did you sell them for $1.50?
Bro, some of the big ones, the ones they're selling for like $30 now.
$30 for a pumpkin?
Yes.
That's
Oh man.
that's outrageous.
Big old pumpkin.
No pumpkin carving for my family this year.
You know, like a one that I would sell for 75 cents is now like $9.95.
That's
Because
ridiculous.
I cared about people.
Maybe you need to get back in the pumpkin game.
I know.
right. Man, it could be a side gig for you.
I'm going to embrace
Back
the
down in
pumpkin.
the woods behind your house, you could, grow some wild pumpkins.
I'm going to become one with the pumpkin
Okay.
once again.
Should we start like a poll of like down with pumpkins or
Yeah, how
down
much
with
it
the price
costs?
of
What does it-
pumpkins?
Why is it important?
A campaign?
Pumpkin pie,
Mm.
pumpkin seeds. Bro, I used to like clean out the pumpkin and I would roast the pumpkin seeds like in our oven.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Salt
Yeah,
those
you
bad
put a little
boys
salt
up.
on
Oh,
them and stuff.
yeah, that's good stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
now we're talking.
Soak them first in salt water.
Yeah.
Let them get like fat and plump.
Yep.
Before you put them in the oven.
Yep.
Roast them.
Mm,
That sounds amazing.
now it sounds good.
I
I do
Bro.
like pumpkin pie, but I like to have like. Do you like it with ice cream or whipped cream?
Yes.
Both.
He's double dipping.
Dave, what do you like? Ice cream or whipped cream?
I'm a purist. I don't want anything on it.
Nothing?
I just want straight pumpkin pie.
Okay, Charlie goes both. You're a purist. I gotta have whipped cream on
Whipped
my
cream.
pumpkin pie.
Not ice cream.
No, whipped cream.
By the way,
Ice cream on apple pie
Yeah, I agree.
and
with
warmed up and let the ice cream melt.
that. Yeah,
Now that's good.
I like
well,
that.
you know, somebody like from a rich family like you, Doc, I mean, you get what you want.
Oh my goodness.
I'm saying, but you know, from my side of the tracks, you just get what you get.
So you had to raise your pumpkins, and then from your pumpkins, you created and made your own pumpkin pie.
Yes, and then you had to make ice cream. Yeah, dude.
The homemade ice cream.
which is now like way more expensive, or it's artisanal. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Homemade ice cream is good.
Handmade. Oh yeah, I like it a little bit more icy than creamy.
Doc,
Yeah,
by the
do
way,
you?
who is this other voice I keep on hearing?
We have a great guest with us. this week.
Introduce our guest.
Mr. Professor, I don't care. Sorry.
It's definitely
Mr.
not professor.
Pastor, Reverend Dave Carr from 12 Stone Church out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's good
It's
to
good
have
to
you
be back on campus.
That's right, man.
He's graduate from Indiana West University in 2017.
That's right. That's right.
A
And what was-
minute ago.
A minute ago.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about where you're at and how long you've been there and what you've been doing.
Yeah, I'm at 12 Stone Church. We're just outside of Atlanta, which is how everyone that lives in Georgia in the northern part describes where they live. It's like just outside of Atlanta.
Yeah.
We're on the northeast side and kind of the suburbs of Atlanta. And 12 Stone's a multi-site church. I was the student pastor there at the main campus for 6 years. And then the last year have been there on their campus services team, which is a team that helps resource all of the individual campuses, but still involved in student ministry, writing content, doing some preaching and teaching and coaching and things like that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. It's
Sounds
a lot of fun.
Sounds like a great gig.
Yeah. And came down there, started as a resident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Came down to do the residency.
And then they hired you after the residency?
That's right.
And so they even got a taste of you before they hired you.
And they still wanted me.
That's
It was
incredible.
crazy.
And
My
you
mom
work
couldn't believe it.
you work actually for somebody that leads a student ministries named Matt Wunderlich.
That's right.
You-
I just want to be clear. I'm not the guy. I work for the guy.
Hey, shout out to Matt Wunderlich, y'all.
That's right.
Let's go, Matt.
What's up, bro?
I'm not the guy. I work for the guy.
I just work for him.
That's
he's
a
great.
great line.
He's great. If you don't know Matt, if you haven't had him on, you should have him on. But he's wonderful.
We've tried a couple times. I've invited him up a little. Come on, Matt. Make the trip, bro.
Yeah.
Get up
One
here.
time,
Seriously.
bring it home.
You know,
He's from Wisconsin, so come on. It's not
yeah,
like that.
right. On your way back home to Wisconsin, stop here.
Yes.
Right.
You know, Doc, we have a lot of listeners
Yes, we
in
do.
Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
but we got listeners all over the place.
Yeah.
You want to hear a little listener mail?
I do. Let's bring up some listener mail.
So this comes from Danielle.
Okay.
All right. And she writes, "Hey, Charlie, Ian and I just listened to the podcast with Amber Cook.
Oh,
Now, this is going back last season.
okay. Sweet.
Now, remember, we've got 5 seasons.
This is season number 5.
Yep. So she says this. Now, listen, I've been listening from the oldest to the newest, so I'm late to the game, but I love and I'm catching up. I love this podcast. Amber did an amazing job, and it's incredible to hear about her time in New Zealand. So as she's giving us this, like, update on what she's catching up, she's like, I am a faithful listener. I'm telling my friends, keep it up, and tell Doc Shigley I said hi.
Come on.
So Danielle is actually a girl from California Skyline.
It's awesome.
Came here to IWU, met a guy named Ian Swires here at IWU. Ian is was the 6th man on the state championship basketball team for the Marion Giants
That's
Come
awesome.
on.
with Zach Randolph.
With Zach
leading the way.
Randolph,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
And so good days.
That is good days.
Thank you, Ian and
Yeah.
Danielle, for
Shout
the
out to
listener
Ian and
mail.
Danielle. Yeah, we appreciate
That's a good
it.
fun fact to get to say that you were the 6th man on the Zach Randolph Marion team.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Isn't
What a
it?
great fun fact.
lot of good PT for Ian Swires. A lot of playing time.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty cool.
how do people do the listener mail, or this was just
Yeah.
a text?
Yeah,
but-
this was yeah. So we'd love for you to listen to our podcast, obviously, but secondly, if you could go on your your favorite, whether that is Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and give us a review and a rating, that would be amazing. So go online and do that for us. We would appreciate it, and then send us a note, send Charlie or I a text or an email, and we will feature that in our show. So thanks so much for doing that, folks. Okay, so can I say something else? I think a fun fact about Dave Carr right here.
Bringing it back?
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you were on intramural basketball champions at one point too.
I was.
Did you ever win? Yeah, basketball
I was.
in the pro league too, right?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sophomore year. Good memory.
Yeah, it's great.
It was a fun time. It was a
It's
really
great.
good time.
You remember some of the people on your team?
Oh gosh, yeah. Jeremy Lacey and Taylor Pascarillo,
Yeah.
Eric Morgan, Joel Garvrick. A lot of fun guys.
Dude,
Ryan
those are
Smith.
good guys.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Maybe too much fun sometimes.
Yeah.
Was
good time.
Jackson Murphy the same time as you?
He was right after me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good thing we wouldn't have won. He's way better at basketball than I am.
Was Andy Ramirez on that team?
He was a year behind me, but his
Okay.
team beat our team
Oh,
the next year.
That's
So
rough.
shout out to Andy. He beat us fair and square.
Yeah, that's
They
great.
were great.
He was a good shooter.
Good friend of mine. He's good. I like
Yeah,
Andy a lot.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Good stuff. Okay, Charlie, what's our topic? Let's enter into our topic for today.
We're on season 5.
Yep.
That's where we're at, talking about bridging the generational gap. And we've had some really good interviews, and look forward to who's coming. So we have a lot of people coming up. Students, we have people who are young coming up that are in middle school.
Mm.
You know, we also are waiting for our episode with Joanne Lyon.
Mm.
Lot of people over the map. But really, when we dig into this, it's like trying to figure out how do we help our students own their faith.
Yeah.
And then how do we help people on both sides of the generations see each other as on the same team? And so with your bevy of experience in youth ministry.
It's not much, everybody, just so you know.
It's a lot, and it's good.
It is good.
We've got some questions. Do you want to kick it off, Doc?
Sure. Okay, so kind of give us you kind of give us some background on that of what your ministry experience is. Did you do a 1-year or 2-year residency with 12 Stone?
I did a 2-year residency. It's a little bit unique. I got hired 9 months into that residency.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I still finished that residency.
Okay.
Went to the classes and still had some coaching, but was officially on staff as the student pastor 9 months in. And what is unique about my story is I actually didn't go to residency directly after school. So I was a student pastor for 1 calendar year at a church in Owensboro, Kentucky. That's where I went right after I graduated from here.
Yeah.
And then from there, went down to go do residency.
Wow. That's super cool.
Yep.
Okay, so how many years of experience do you have in youth ministry now?
Been doing it since 2017, full time. So
it's 8 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay, so question I have, since we're thinking about this whole theme, what do you see as some benefits in youth ministry, for example, to have older adults involved in their life and intersecting with them and impacting their life, whether they're small group leaders, whether they're checking in the students on a Wednesday night or Sunday night? You know, what does that look like, and why is that important to have a group of older adults? And that could be young adults who are in college and, you know, maybe young professionals, all the way up to people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Yeah. Well, I think, first of all, it's just a biblical principle. Like Proverbs talks about how there's wisdom in an abundance of counselors. So the second piece of it is, like, when I first got hired, I was 23 at 12. I'll talk about 12 Stone specifically. I was 23. And so both of those things combined, where there's an abundance of, there's a wisdom and an abundance of counselors, and the fact that I'm a 23-year-old student pastor, you're going to get a very limited view of life if I'm the only person that's speaking into your life as a student, because I haven't lived that much life. And so part of the benefit is just you get to learn from different walks of life, because things change. Once you're married, once you have kids, things change if you're 40 or 50 or 60 or 70. And so it just gives you a little bit of wisdom to know what to expect and what's coming. And even for me personally, what has been helpful is just, you don't have to face everything for the very first time when you come up on it. So if you've got a generation that's ahead of you, or multiple stages ahead of you, by the time that you get there, hopefully you got a decent scouting report on what to expect. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't have my own personal version of that I'm going to have to work through that's unique to me. But principally, I can have a little bit of the tools in the toolbox that I'm going to need to be prepared to deal with what's coming when you have multiple counselors, especially people that are older than you.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, what I found too is anybody that comes and serves in student ministry with me that stays around for any length of time learns a lot from the people that they're leading behind them. And so there's sometimes there's validation in, hey, what you have to say actually matters, because there are people that, even though it's normal to you to know what you know, to have experienced what you've experienced, they haven't experienced that or don't know that. And so it validates to the older generations, you actually have something to give back. And I think it just softens your heart when you can actually have a relationship with someone in a different generation than you. And it's not all theory. You don't have this caricature of this blanket statement of what the young people are like versus what older people are like. When you have an actual relationship, it can push up against some of those stereotypes to where you can have a more accurate picture of what the younger generation is actually like, what the older generation is actually like.
That's good. That's good. I can remember early on in my days of ministry, and I was young, you know, super young. had no idea what I was doing. And this guy had been helping out in the youth group. I inherited him as an adult leader.
That's
And
a
he's
kind
probably
way of
like,
saying it.
yeah, he's probably like 35, 40 years old, had a couple kids in the youth group. And he'd been doing it as a volunteer for like 10, 15 years. And he was just absolutely amazing. And he worked at a window glass place, and he just served in the church and led a small group and taught kids and loved on them and that sort of thing. So I kept him on, and he was just so incredibly valuable. And here I have a degree in ministry. He taught me more about ministry than I could ever teach him.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about it, I don't know how many times I said, Scott, you know more about ministry than anybody I know, especially anybody that doesn't have a degree in ministry.
Right.
Like your wealth of experience and knowledge just blows me away. And I know you would never say this or admit it, but bro, you are mentoring me.
Yeah.
And it was so cool because he had the perspective too of having kids in the youth group as a parent.
Exactly right.
Right. And so he was reinvesting. He was totally invested in what was happening because his kids were involved
Right.
in the ministry. And it was so powerful. I just loved him. He ended up, now this is a cool story. He ended up leaving that glass thing because he has such a great heart for ministry. And he worked at Voice of the Martyrs for years.
No way.
Yeah. And
That's
he was in
cool.
charge of, I can't remember what, I think he was in charge of Vietnam and some other places around the world,
That's awesome.
spreading the gospel and telling the story about the persecuted church. Super cool.
I love that. I think any student pastor, hopefully, has someone like that, right? I remember
Yes.
one of the first weeks that I was, after I'd gotten hired, there was a woman who had been leading in that student ministry since I had been in diapers. Literally. Miss Eve. Shout out to Miss Eve Harrell.
So 20 years.
And she'd been following Jesus longer than I've been alive.
Mm.
And so what was kind of her is she never once told me any of those things. I just came to that conclusion of like, hey, so how long have you been serving here? How long have you been following Jesus? And what was great is like her humility in letting
Yes.
me as a 23-year-old be in charge and lead and be her pastor.
Yep.
But never once being questioning, even if she had questions, even if she didn't agree with what I was doing, being honoring in public and then correcting in private.
So
it's just
good.
like, well, if Miss Eve can do that for me, then maybe I'm not as big a deal as I want to think I am. And it just does something to you when you're put in the position of people are just always asking you the question and you're supposed to always have the answer. When you have people that you can just go sit with, it's like, Miss Eve, you don't have any questions that you need to ask me, but I have a lot of questions I need
Yeah,
to ask you.
exactly.
It just does something to you that's good for your soul, I
It's
think.
so good.
Yeah. So we're going to ask you a couple other questions as well as we dig into this.
Yeah.
And go just a little bit aggressive in culture. My first question is this. I mean, the difference in social media between your students and a bunch of your leaders. And we see currently like social media is, is this idealized, youthful, playful version of somebody's real identity. And it's what students are really engaged in, as opposed to people that are in their 40s or 50s that aren't as like connected. So how do you address social media? How do you address the complete and total domination of it in the lives of your students and the people that you work with, and connect that, especially this idealized kind of like, version of yourself, because you can present yourself as, this version that has no issues, that has it all together, that you're always got it together. You can wear, whatever you're wearing. You can manipulate the image to make yourself look a certain way, as opposed to the reality of who you really are.
Yeah. I think if you're trying to just solve the social media problem across the board, you're going to be really discouraged because it just feels like there's a myriad of dominoes that come from the social media world, I guess. But for me, one of the things that I didn't do well was I was either way too in it or way too out of it. And so I would take these extreme stances depending on, what stage of life I was in at the time, where I would either say, no, this is the platform and we need to go all in on it, and probably put too much of an unhealthy hope in social media as a way to reach people. At the same time, there was a period of time where I was completely off of it for a couple of years. And what I found, it was actually really good to disengage from it in the amount that I had been engaging with it previously. But what I found was they didn't stop having voices that were speaking into their life just because
Mhm.
I wasn't on there. And so what it did was I was uninformed on a very formative thing
Yeah.
that my students were engaging in constantly. And so some of the work on my end as a pastor was just figuring out, well, what's the balance of how much should I be involved in it and how much should I not? I don't think, you know, going away and hiding on a mountain and becoming a monk when it comes to social media was the
Mhm.
right call.
Mhm.
I also don't think that being, a Sadducee and kind of learning how to leverage it for my own personal gain was the right call. So somewhere in the middle was the right
Yeah.
response. But then once I landed there, which took me a long time, I just go back to kind of the main idea of the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus is talking about. I think you can kind of boil the Sermon on the Mount down to this big idea that Jesus wants to lead us into the kingdom of life in the kingdom of heaven, which
Alright.
is a right relationship with God that leads to a right relationship with everything and everyone else. So it starts with a right relationship with Him, and then that spills down
Mhm.
into my relationship with everything and everyone else. So one of the things that I just started pastoring my students and leaders on is just what's a right relationship with social media look
Mhm.
like?
Mhm.
What's a wrong relationship with it is to hold it up as this is all the way unequivocally, unquestionably true and accurate. So everything I see on social media isn't reality.
Yes.
It's curated.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that there's not truth there. It's just not all true. So you
Mhm.
got to figure out how to eat the fish and spit out the bones. And so it's teaching them how to think biblically about things so that they can scroll through TikTok, see a video that talks about, 3 myths about Christianity that we're going to bust or whatever, and figuring out how to say, well, what of that is true and what of that is actually
Yeah.
not true.
So some of it's distortions of truths.
Totally.
Like
And
you
so,
see through the glass darkly. Like
yeah,
you see images, but it doesn't mean like it's the truth.
correct. So thinking critically in social media is important because you
Mhm.
can't just turn your brain off
Yeah, you gotta sift through it.
because it's still forming what you think.
Yeah.
So, given that,
Yep.
um, there is this term, all right, Andrew Root talks about it in some of his books, but it's basically, uh, this way of thinking that God is nice, that he wants me to be good. It's more about helping me feel okay than acting, in a way that would offend others. It's almost like it's domesticating our faith so
Mm.
that we won't talk about sin or we won't deal with the hard issues.
What's the big
Well,
terminology?
it's
What's the big word?
moralistic therapeutic deism,
Okay.
MTD. So this moralistic therapeutic like deism, this thing that's taken over culture, basically primarily through a lot of avenues like social media. It's through education, it's through a lot of things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just not for students. It's generally, ripping across culture, but it heavily affects students because of social media, where you just get a soundbite of something,
Uh-huh.
and almost where a student might say, I read scripture and I see that this is wrong according to scripture,
Mm.
but I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to be offensive.
Right. So how do you navigate that with students?
Yes. And I know this is a zinger, bro.
Yeah, ask a hard question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I just tapped out with that the title of those
Yeah.
3 terms. Like I just got to tap out. So
Yeah.
you guys can have this conversation.
Well, I think you just got to boil it down to what's His intention with me.
Mhm.
And so I think with the moralistic therapeutic deism, it's all about maximization of the person. And I think that, most lies that we believe are partial truths. So I think there is a piece of truth in that God does want me. It's the parable of the talents. I want you to multiply your gifts, right? I want you to use them and multiply them. I want you to grow and develop. That's all sanctification. The place where moralistic therapeutic deism falls short, I think, is how you get there. So typically, the way that you get there in the Christian worldview is through suffering and pain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Bro, that's good,
moralistic
bro.
therapeutic deism is really good in a world that is pain avoidant and suffering avoidant because it's the way to get the results of Jesus without taking the way of Jesus.
Bro, can we just have a mic drop right there, man?
Yes.
Dave, that's so good.
So
Wow.
can you repeat that? Because what you're saying again is something we've talked about in this podcast.
We have so many times.
that
Like you're hitting on
information, versus to truly understand something, you have to suffer.
You have to
Yes.
suffer.
So can you repeat what you just said again?
Yeah. It's a way to get the life of Jesus and the things of Jesus without taking the way of Jesus to get there.
So many people want to take shortcuts.
Yep.
Right. We want the benefits of Christianity, heaven,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having a joyful life, the fruit of the Spirit, but we're not willing to take the road of discipleship
Yes.
in order to get there.
Yes. Yeah. So I think one of the things that has been on the forefront of my mind lately, specifically in preaching, is just being honest about what, if you're going to paint a picture of the gospel and the beauty of the gospel and
Yeah.
the redemption of the gospel,
Yes.
painting a really clear, articulate vision of what it will require to get there.
So
And-
counting the cost
Yes.
to carry the cross.
Come
et
and
cetera.
die. What
Yeah.
it will take to
Come
get
and
there
die.
is come and die. So that's the narrow way, right? It's either an overemphasis on I have to basically be a masochist and just constantly hate myself and hate everything and can't enjoy anything. Or I can't ever suffer at all. Suffering's bad and pain. It's walking the narrow path of, no, suffering is the way forward. I'm not going to seek it out.
Mhm.
But when it comes, I'm going to face it head on with courage. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. He's with me. So I'm not doing anything that Jesus did not already do himself. He's not asking me to take away that he did not willingly take himself to get there. But he did it because there was joy on the other side of it. For the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross.
Do you feel like social media and this onslaught has made everything emphatic? It's exactly this way or the opposite way. The extremes are celebrated, so that if you are loving and kind,
Mhm.
then you don't embrace truth. You know, if you're all about truth, then you're not grace at all. And where actually, and there's like a big dividing line. Jesus is love. Yes, but isn't he also just?
Right.
I mean, we'll almost like pick and choose the parts of Jesus that we like
Yeah.
to fit our ideology.
Well, is it loving to lie to somebody? I don't think so.
No.
And
No.
withholding the truth, I would say is a lie. So he is love. He's just the perfect version of it, not the version of it that's removed from suffering, which even you look at, just students, especially the examples that have been set before them and what like marriage looks like. Marriage is always supposed to be a picture of Christ in the church, which involves deep suffering. And for a lot of them, the relationship that they've looked at when it comes to marriage has been so broken because we only want to be married so long as it doesn't cost us anything.
Mm.
And then it's interesting that
Wow.
we'll be willing to pay the cost of what it would require to get a divorce, but we wouldn't. We wouldn't pay the cost of suffering through and being formed more into the image of Jesus and staying together and seeing what that does to it.
And working through it.
Correct.
Doing the hard work of let's make this marriage great.
Correct.
Because it is hard work.
Well, and divorce is work.
Yeah.
It doesn't promise that it is, but it certainly is work.
And it costs you a lot more in the end.
And so I just think there's a hidden cost, I guess. To what social media does is it just backdoors the cost a little bit. So it's not upfront about.
Yeah.
It shows you here's what it promises. It doesn't tell you what the cost actually is. And I think Jesus is pretty upfront about here's the life that I would lead you into, and here's what you're going to pay to get it.
Can I ask one more question? So given all that you're saying, it's like, how do you help students reimagine, or maybe for the first time, imagine what it's like to have this relationship with Christ that is found in truth and that foundation, and yet is, a message that is inviting, loving, and kind without compromising one or the other.
Yeah.
And or how do pastors help their students come to that realization, or how do they preach that or teach that?
Something one of the pastors on staff at 12 Stone named Chris Morgan, he's a legend down there. He's our pastor of prayer. Something that I learned from him was that most of the time faith is more caught than it is taught. And so I think about the word becoming flesh and dwelling among us. I love the Message paraphrase talks about how the word took up residence and moved into the neighborhood. And one of the things that, like, it's going to sound cliche, and it's going to sound like the thing that, of course, I would say that. But if you don't have pastors that are modeling that of what it looks like to be people who are deeply loving and tell the truth, then where would you learn it? So part of our job is to just be little Christs. It's what Christian means. It's little Christ. So
Yeah.
if Jesus kept company with prostitutes and with tax collectors, and they enjoyed keeping company with him, and he was sinless in being sure that he told the whole truth to them,
Yep.
then it is possible. What that tells me is that it's possible.
So
It can be done. Anything that Jesus did, I can do through the power of the Holy Spirit. So then my job as a pastor who's leading students is, well, then I'm going to give them a incarnate picture of what that would look like today. And if I'm not doing the hard work of holding myself accountable to do that, by having conversations with people I disagree with, by stepping out of having everyone come to the church to meet me and me moving into the neighborhood to go meet with the neighborhood, then where else would they see that? Hopefully they have a really good, like the best shot you have is that they would see it on the pages of scripture. But most of the time, they're going to read me before they read scripture anyway. So if I can put skin and bone on what I'm reading, then I think that's the template to follow.
I mean, the thing I think about all the time with these kinds of statements, and it's challenging for me, is 1 Corinthians 11:1, where Christ says, or Paul says, follow my example as I follow the example of Christ, or imitate me. Another version, imitate me as I imitate Christ. I mean, sometimes, especially students need to see the incarnate of Jesus, the flesh and bones of someone living like Jesus, being little Christ, if you will, before them. That kind of paves the way.
Yep. Well, and even for me, I just have such a limited imagination sometimes.
Yeah.
So when I meet a person who deeply loves Jesus and who does things in a way that I've never thought about as a possibility that it could be done that way, and I experience that, all of a sudden it just opens up my mind for what's possible, for how this could look for me to live it out. And I think when I'm reading scripture and I don't have the multi-generational relationships that we've been talking about, then I just have a very limited view of what this is supposed to look like. And I think Jesus is pretty expansive, and this could look a lot of different ways, but this is the end result. And so I think, more than anything in student ministry, I'm trying to do, when I started at the beginning, I was trying really hard to just like teach everything perfectly and build the best sermons I could build. And more now, I'm just trying to paint a good picture of what's possible. Whether that's through how I preach, whether that's through how I live and how students interact with me, or holding up somebody else that's serving on the team that I'm like, hey, when you talk about evangelism, you think about it like this, but that person actually does evangelism better than anybody I know, and here's what it looks like for them. It's the gospel always has to be made incarnate. And so I think when you can give them a real flesh and bone picture of what it looks like, they just attach to it.
This has been so good.
This is
And
really
we
good.
talk about the generational gap and about a generation that's addicted to convenience. And we talk about, right now people, they don't understand suffering. And at the same time, we live in this season in a world where we still have people like my Uncle Frank, who's 92, who was born in the Great Depression. So when we were having gatherings, and I'm grabbing my dad a plate and Uncle Frank a plate, and it's like, hey, what do you want? They're like, we eat whatever you put on our plate.
Yeah.
They're built different, man.
We're living in a time where, with the rate of technology, the explosion in our lifetimes is so like never before in the history of the world, that we do have Uncle Frank in our midst, in our churches, and a person who's known nothing other than, an iPhone that has more power and juice than the space shuttle, that went into orbit and circled the moon.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. So like we live in this very random, so we do have people among us who have suffered dearly, and the way they think about life is, and Uncle Frank will tell me all that he doesn't get it. He doesn't get, the youth.
Yeah.
The youths.
Yeah.
It just doesn't comprehend. And their willingness to work, or fight for things, or, he thinks everyone's soft.
Yeah.
But compared to that generation where, I mean, bro, they ate garbage. I mean, what was stuff that we would throw away. Parts of the animal that we wouldn't even consider eating, they had to find ways to make it usable. For sustenance.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the stories they'll share when we're at these little. I was just with them just a couple weeks ago, so this is fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
And so those people are in our churches, they're in our midst, and we as pastor have to understand, like, we have to connect with both of them, and maybe we're the bridge to tell each other stories. So
Right.
I get to tell the stories of the students to Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
And I get to tell Uncle Frank stories to this generation, and maybe they can see each other as they're part of the same human race.
Right. Well, and they inform one another.
Mm-hmm.
So what other place other than the local church would Uncle Frank be rubbing shoulders with a 12-year-old?
Exactly.
What other place? Like, it's the genius of the church when it's done well.
Yes.
When it's done well.
I agree 100%.
Bro, this has been so good.
It's been great.
Thank you guys
Man,
for
thank
having
you
me.
for hanging out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dave.
It's good
Appreciate
being
it.
back on campus. It's beautiful here. I love it.
Yeah.
That wraps it up for today's show. Please join us next week on the Good Days podcast. Boom.
Boom.
Yeah, let's try that again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrap it up.
Boom.
Boom.
And boom.